We are back to our show again. Good morning, Kuwait. Hope you enjoyed the cinema segment, the weekly cinema segments. And that episode we'll talk about, we call it the World Cup Qatar 2022 screens and all around our lovely country, state of Kuwait. Hope you enjoyed the segments and even about the top 5 movies from the box office. And speaking for our next interview segment, from moving from cinemas to something a little bit similar, we have with us today Najem. She's an animator, and our guest today we're going to talk about the animation world and also everything about this kind of major. And she chose this professional path in digital fields to mix between hobby and also business. So hello and good morning.
Good morning.
You're most welcome, and thank you so much for joining us today on our show, Good Morning Kuwait. We have a chit-chat in the off-air about your career. We know too many things about your accomplishment and your career. So can you share to the viewers about your CV, first of all, to know you more?
Of course. I have a bachelor's degree in graphic design, and I have a master's in animation and computer graphics. That's basically my background.
Nice. So it's a very huge background. So now, because us and everyone is watching us through the KTV2 need to know more about this kind of field. We know the world of animation, it's huge. There is too many animations in the world, especially in the east of Asia. They have like a big production about this kind of animation, movies, series, even more. Can you take us in details in this kind of major?
Yes. Now, when we're talking about the Asia and the Far East, they work mostly with Magna and 2D animation. But there is also a world of 3D animation, which we've been seeing lately nowadays. There is also the world of traditional animation, which is more of a 2D sketches. There is motion graphics, which I'm fond of. I love it the most just because of the movement that you can see. So there is a lot of different types of animation. There's also stop motion, which I'm sure we've been seeing a lot lately, where they take like multiple footage and they put them together. So it's a massive world.
We can say it's a very complete series. That's why it's like something a very big major, and this is your master. You follow your passion, but why did you choose this kind of major? There is something behind the scene. Any stories happening?
Yes. I've been passionate about cartoons ever since I was a kid. I've always liked to look at cartoons in general. I was fascinated by the colors, by the composition of it. So I've always wanted to be part of the world of animation. And I was wondering, like, how can I enter that world? Ever since I was young, I took my bachelor's in graphic design, and you know, like with the graphic design, it's very still images. It's mostly composition and putting things together. But then I took one motion graphics class, and I fell in love with it. I thought, like, this is my passion. I would spend hours on the computer just animating, and that's when I started my animation career.
Very nice, very big and huge, and also shall wish you all the success in your animation career. So for one subject, now you're following the lead and you have a master's degree. Very proud of you. So we'll talk about this kind of major. It's considered a very huge thing. Some people think like the animation and the animator, they are an artist. So you consider yourself as an artist?
I think anyone can be an artist, really. It's just about the viewers and how they interpret what they see. But any type of art is considered different, and anyone can be an artist.
So everyone can be an artist. So I know this kind of majors, you have to have a very huge imagination, like you have to have your own scenarios. So it's like a skills.
Yes.
But even there is a talent also in this kind of things, right?
That's the beauty of animation, actually. It's just you have no boundaries. You can do whatever you want. So, and the amount of creativity that you can put in there is endless, just because you have no control over what you can produce on screen.
You mentioned something about the production, producing. Tell me about your huge work in animation in the field of cinema and also series.
I think like one of the best experiences I've ever had was working on the movie Bilal.
Bilal movie.
Yes, yeah, nice. It's the first 3D animated film in the Middle East. Yes. It was based in 2018, and I was part of the lighting team. So when it comes to animation, there are several stages that we can walk through them, but I was basically in the lighting team, which is part of the Bilal movie.
So how was the feeling that time when it was being released in the big screen? How was it feel?
It's good and bad at the same time. I was so excited to go on the red carpet and the opening of the movie, but then once you get in there and you try to tell the audience which shots you actually worked on, it happens really fast. So it's very hard for you to tell the person next to you that I worked on this shot or I worked on that shot, just because, you know, like it's very fast-paced process.
But the good feeling after the movie already finished, you will see the credit, your name already raising.
Yes.
So you are representing the state of Kuwait. You are also a great ambassador to us, to show us to the world. That's what we are very proud of. So when we talk about the animations, people sometimes you see the steps of animations.
Yes.
Drawing, then emotions. For the 2D, like even we play some games, you will see there is like a book, we call it the animation book.
Yes.
You will see 2Ds of the drawings, right? This is like we call the steps of the animation?
Now there are three major steps or stages, I would call them. You have the pre-production stage, the production, and the post-production. The pre-production is, as you said, where we get like the sketches, the storyboarding, the script writing, but
the character,
the concept art. But the most important thing is the story. If you have the story finalized, that's when you can move to the production stage. And of course, in the production stage, that's when you get into the character modeling, the rigging, the animation of the character, the lighting, which basically that's what I specialize in. And then we move to the post-production, which we have the visual effects, we have the color grading. So it's a very long process. So when you call someone an animator, it comes to the animating part where it's moving the character itself. But if you look at the field in general, you can see like how massive that world is.
It's a very massive world. So when we spoke about Bilal, like if you go to this a huge step to do like a very Islamic and famous movie in Arabic, also audio, it's already released in the cinemas and the big screen. So I know it's take too many stages to be in this kind of the top with advanced level. You have like any social medias, like a YouTube channel about you or something? You know, like if you want to go to this step, you need to have too many like long steps to reach this step in the top level.
Yeah, actually, ever since I had the Bilal movie, I started my own channel. It's called L Square Studios.
Nice.
And it does mostly emotion graphics as well as 3D animation.
It's like, yani, this is like we call it your lab. You're just creating yourself. And you just do some small things to make it bigger.
Exactly. It's more of my personal work. Sometimes I would work with other artists, collaborate with other artists, just because of, you know, like the amount of work that we do. And I tried to focus a lot on 3D animation in particular, just because of how I experienced Bilal and where this took us. I've also started a YouTube channel for kids. It's called KTV. Yeah, and basically the reason why I started it was to encourage young kids to watch Arabic TV shows as well, as we lack that part of media, as well as how it can teach kids like morals and teach them more lessons.
We call them to teach them the core values.
Yes, but in a very simple, entertaining Arabic way. So I started KTV as my channel.
Very nice. So it's like something similar to Kuwaiti. You put agal in the name of the channel.
Exactly.
So something like to attract the children.
Attract the children.
To give them like a very good message to the world. To be like a new good generation.
Yes, and I've been testing it with my kids.
You see the big screen?
Yes, yeah, that's some of our work that we did. Yeah, some of the work I did. And I said our work just because I have a twin sister and she's an illustrator. So we work together on all the visuals.
On behalf of our show, Good Morning Kuwait, we send our gratitude also to your sister.
Thank you.
So you two did both of you did this amazing one of the videos in animation, right?
We've been working together, yes.
You already mentioned it. It's only about the story. You write something in the paper, you publish it to the audience. That's why. What is the behind this story? We can say something similar?
No, actually, if you look at, let's say, the Arabic content in general, you don't see a lot of moving pictures.
Yes.
And you don't find something original. And that's one of the things that I've always wanted to do, just to get something original, something more cultural to move it. So, and as you said, like once you have an idea, you can just put it on paper, and that's where all the magic starts.
So the magic starts from always about the paper. So when we talk about the works and the animations and even the huge industry, we have to focus and shine the light more about demographic.
Yes.
Demographic is like a huge industry. Can you elaborate more? Because this is like your specialty.
Of course. I think animation is for everyone. It's for kids and for adults as well. I personally, I don't miss an animation movie just because of how entertaining these movies are. At the same time, they tend to send a lot of positivity, which we really need in this world. So I really think it's for everyone. It's just, it's fun to watch.
It's fun to watch and happy to see and happy also to entertain as well. So when we talk about, we call it the animation movies and even the demographic. So to be more professional in this field, what about the other steps? I know you have always to we call it motivate ourselves, to teach ourselves. You have to also to follow your colleagues. So how can to be professional in this field? Like I am an amateur, I want to be professional.
First of all, you have to be extremely patient.
Extremely patient.
Patient.
Like between the brackets.
Yes, that's what you need. You have to be patient because it needs a lot of patience. It needs a lot of work. And when it comes to animation, sometimes you want to compete with others, or you see a very interesting video that you want to observe? Yeah, like no, when you see a different movie, different video that you want to do this to work something similar for it, and you might get demotivated at some point. So I would always say practice makes perfect, especially when it comes to animation. You always have to train the eye.
Nice.
The more you look at visuals, the more you see moving pictures, that's when you train the eye and you train the speed of your production. So patience and practice.
Patience and practice and observe and love to learn more.
I think you should always believe in yourself. Anyone can be an artist, as we said earlier, but we just have different styles. Some people like to do traditional animation, others like to do motion graphics, other people like to do stop motion, and they would rely mostly on photography. So there are different tools for you to become an animator.
So when you create a movie, you told me you have a very big team, like we say, one hand cannot clap. Yes. You have a huge industry working with you. So you are preparing for this animation. Everyone have his own scene.
Yes.
So how would you collaborating with your colleagues? You mentioned something, too many major professions in 1 minute.
That's true, especially when we're talking about the stages that we spoke about earlier, the pre-production and the production and post-production. There are two ways of doing things. It's either it's a one-man show and it's a big failure. I try to do that on my own just to handle an animation from A to Z. And I think it's always better to deal with people who has a certain interest. So I specialize in lighting, so this is my profession. And then like my sister, as I mentioned earlier, she's an illustrator, so she does all the illustrations for the characters. And then we can deal with different artists. I'm an animator as well, so I take care of the animation and so on.
Amazing. We can say all the time, our dear guests, like good times run very fast. We didn't even feel the time. We'd like to thank you here. Do you have any last message to the viewers in a brief? In a brief, this is your camera if you want to say something.
Yes, I would say if you want to be something, you can do it. I've always dreamt to get into the animation world, and I did. I've always wanted to work on motion movies, and I did. Despite all the, like we have everything online, we have all the resources we need. You just have to believe in yourself and work hard.
Thank you so much. So special thanks to our guest today, Lamis Najem too. She's an animator. She's showing with us about her passionate, which is to be in designing and animating. Dear viewers, we have too many things to share with you. Let us go to this tiny break. They will continue.